Hey everybody, Tyler with Bedford Camera and Video, and welcome to Season 2 of Bedford Talks. And in the studio, actually in her studio, I have Alex Dugan. So if you are from Oklahoma City or you've been to PhotoCon, you've seen this face. You may have seen, you may have been to one of your classes.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to have Alex here as our first guest for Season 2.
Ooh,
so thank you for joining us, and thank you for lending your awesome space. So lots of color. I think it's probably the most colorful one I've been in since we've had this. So this is
that's cool.
awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of color.
So Alex, for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and the type of photography you do.
Yeah, so I live in Oklahoma City. For 13 years, I photographed weddings primarily. And then, when the pandemic hit, that went away, and I was also getting a little bored, which people are like, weddings are crazy, how's it boring? If you shoot enough, it does get boring. And so I learned a little bit of studio stuff at school. I went to UCO for photographic arts, and I just wanted to start working with more color. And so so in the last 2 or 3 years, I've switched to just doing mainly studio stuff and working with businesses. So I create their social media stuff. I work with like restaurants, estheticians, barbers, meal prep services, all sorts of stuff. And so that's really what I do now. And then I do a lot of family portraits. And I guess, other than that, just anything about me is I'm just pretty normal. I live in Oklahoma City. My favorite thing to do is go to the zoo here. I love walking. I like going on walks, and I've got 2 dogs, have a partner. I don't know. I guess
and it's a growing city. It's it's one of the top growing cities in America. And I mean, you have a lot of people. I'm speaking of the pandemic when people could live wherever they wanted to. I know there were a lot of cities, at Tulsa and Oklahoma City specifically, I know there were some pretty big incentives to say, hey, you want to work from home, come over here. We have all the amenities, maybe not all of the amenities, but it's, it's bikeable, it's walkable.
And there's so many like parks here, like state parks.
Oh yeah.
Because Oklahoma really has everything but an ocean. And a lot of people don't realize that. It's a nice place to live. It's not, perfect.
Sure.
But people are really nice.
Right.
And it's getting better, so I'm happy to be here, I guess.
Very cool. I know, it seems to me, I've, like with videographers and with photographers, I've seen, or at least it seems like weddings are a great gateway into other types of creative work.
I know that when I first started doing weddings, I'm actually really happy with the way I did it because I second shot for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And I would go and assist because it's scary, your first one. It's a lot on your shoulders. I mean, you have to show up and basically make 50 strangers like and trust you within an hour. Because if there's no trust, your day is going to be terrible. People are going to constantly be like, did you get that? Did you get that? I think though weddings are good because it teaches you almost everything but studio. Like you have to make it work with what you have on you at that second. Like there's no redo, there's no coming back, there's no rescheduling. Like you make whatever lens, lighting, you have to make it work. And so I kind of enjoy that part about weddings. Kind of like the chaos of it.
Oh yeah.
I do. But I think it's a good way to like learn.
Well, there is also a level of comfort being in either a studio, your own studio, or renting going to a place, or even going to a city where you're not from, but renting a space in a studio because you can control a lot of the variables.
Yes.
Whereas it's
so nice.
the total opposite at a wedding day. You don't know who's going to get drunk. You don't know.
When it's going to rain.
Oh yeah.
Last September, it was like perfectly clear. Like no chance of rain, and I was shooting a wedding because I'll take like 5 to 10 a year. Torrential, the sun's out, and we're just like, okay, well, I guess we're not doing stuff in grass because it's gonna ruin all their shoes, and so you always have to have like a plan for the plan for the plan,
and hope you have enough light inside that area. I've shot enough video on enough weddings where it was in a barn. It's like dark wood and
oh my God.
There's literally
The
candles on the
colors.
table, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this is what I have to work. I'm just cranking the ISO, you know.
Because the color's so terrible.
Yeah.
Barns are so terrible to shoot inside. No.
I wonder if that trend is going to go away and then maybe come back and maybe go.
I think it should just go away.
Exactly. Just
forever.
Just paint them all the inside just white.
Yeah.
You know.
It could still be a barn. Mm-hmm. Something. Put some cool wallpaper up. I don't know.
Well, my wife and I got married in what was an old. It was like an old bank and a feed store, and it was like this kind of like little. I'm not sure when they enclosed it, but it was outside for a while. But like. It was a feed store for, because it was like all agriculture. This was before Walmart, and it was like, I think apple crops were apple orchards were apparently all over the place. Yeah. This was in Centerton, Arkansas, and so they were like, yeah, this was like where you got feed for your animals, and you can kind of see it. Yeah. But it was pretty much all white, which was perfect. So any ambient light was just bouncing around. We were just talking about bouncing light as we were setting all this up.
Yeah, and it's so nice. That sounds cool. I like wedding locations that are unique like that, like they've repurposed. I think it's super cool.
Well, my cousin, she got married in what was an old furniture store in Lubbock, Texas, and it's super cool. Like it's like this big. It's very cool. It's like we walked in and we're like, what? You know, you knew there was a life before this was a concert venue or wedding venue or whatever it was, but you're like, what was this in the 20s? You know, it ended up being like I think it was like a furniture store from the 50s.
Man, I bet it was beautiful.
It was just all open. It was really cool, actually.
Okay, well after this, I want to see pictures.
Yes, for sure.
I have to see them now.
I love how when I try to get a taste of different people's photography, you know, not only for this series, but Instagram is such a great tool because you can scroll and see the different projects they work on, but also you can see the consistency in the style and maybe even the colors. And what I love about what you do, you use a lot of color in your photography, and you use like a lot of even simple, you know, simple color backgrounds, and I love that.
Yeah, thank you. I just, you know, with weddings, you know, you don't get to shoot a lot of poppy color.
Black and white.
It's a lot, yeah. And so I've just had so much fun playing with it. I have a book and it's called Accidentally Wes Anderson.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
so when people send me outfits, I pull it out and I flip through that for color combos. And so that's how I picked out like the green that's in there with this pink. Like I flipped until I found a pink, and then I looked at the colors around it. So Wes Anderson, guys, for color, that's it.
Haven't really been asking this a lot, but what's an image that stands out to you, like one that you've taken that kind of reminds you of a time when you were learning? If there's anything that pops out.
Yeah, there was a photo I took of a friend of mine, and we started working together at a burger joint, and just kind of became buds. And he was in this punk band, which I ended up liking, called Your Mom.
That's awesome. That's a great name, by the way.
Oh, they're so...
That's very punk.
Yeah, they're awesome. But I was in large format. I was doing a series of, you know, portraits, and I did a shot of him in front of his house, and he has this old car. I'm not good with cars, I don't know. And he came out like with rollers and like a robe and just, you know, makeup, and he like points at the camera, and I told him just to shout an explicit word, and you can like see it, you know. And so that one was cool because there was a lot kind of to balance with that photo, and just learning large format was so fun to me, and I guess that's what it would be. Like that was just a fun part of my life, I guess.
It's very different from weddings and regular
So
portraits, because I mean
slow
that's like album cover level, you know.
It's cool, yeah. But you know, it's a little slower with large format. You know, I haven't shot it in years, but you know, it's one shot at a time, and which is kind of nice. Or
Teaches
for
you
me,
to be patient,
and to not waste a shot. You know, to line things up.
Make sure everything's perfect.
Yeah. I have to like look back there like 4 times. Like I'll like put the film and I'm like, let me just look one more time.
Because it's expensive per click, you know.
It is.
If you mess it up, you know.
Or if your focus is slightly off, it's when you get that scan in, it's like,
I can't believe I messed it up.
like, yeah, and you're like with your loop trying to.
You're trying to figure it out. Yeah, it's so much easier with these because You set it to focus peaking, or you have the magnification box, and it makes it so much easier.
After I got my D5, I was like, man, it's really, I don't have that camera anymore, but it was really hard for me to want to shoot anything that was manual focus, because it is just so quick and reliable. I was like, why would I ever manual focus ever again?
Exactly.
Well, when you want to shoot film, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what you have to rely on. Well, and then that kind of leads into what focal length do you tend to gravitate toward? Is there like a specific length, or is it just on the tight end? Is it just on the wide end? I know it seems like, and maybe I could be wrong, it seems like 35 is kind of what you tend to hit.
I like 35. Like if I had to pick two lenses forever, it'd probably be a 35 and an 85. Just really simple. Like 50 is usually not wide enough for me, or it's not tight enough. So I do like a 35, probably 35, 85. If I know I'm only supposed to pick one, but it's probably
those are the classic wedding lenses.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody's accustomed to.
And they work great for like, portrait stuff in here. Even a 35, if you position things right, it's fine. It's totally fine. Especially if you want more of like a lifestyle look.
Exactly.
Because I feel like now people don't want perfection in every photo, because it just looks not authentic. So if everything is just exactly, right, it's boring.
Probably because we're so advertised to constantly.
Like stock photos, and, I think people like some realness, I guess.
Exactly. The imperfection from the phone camera,
Yeah. Or maybe not even shooting the right length in a studio. Maybe you do shoot wider and you get tight. Or you get far, whatever. It's just fun to play.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like photography is just fun.
Well, that's the thing, play with not only different focal lengths, but also different, don't shoot everything at f1.8. Yes. Shoot at f8, shoot at f13, play with the depth.
Yeah. Ryan, who you'll talk to, he showed me something. It's been a few years, or maybe he just told me about it, but it's really like challenging yourself when you go out to just shoot like 5.6, f8, f11 as much as you can and still create great images. And I can do that. It gets a little trickier for me with portraits with natural light.
Sure.
But it's a good thing to practice, I think.
Well, and there's something even different about the look you're wanting, or the couple is expecting on a wedding. They want that separation. They want the blown out look because they're the star,
Right. So that works. We'll let them have it.
So in terms of post-processing, do you do much? If you do, or maybe even if you don't do very much, what are some staples that you hit every time? Is there like 2 or 3 things that you do every time, or do you just like to get it pretty much right in camera?
I try to get everything in camera as much as possible, and that's wedding photographer in me, because there's no way I am going to take all those photos into Photoshop. Like, I'm just not going to do it. So if I don't get it right, it's just going to look bad. Or like close.
Right.
And then I do most of my heavy lifting in Lightroom. I do use Photoshop, like if I need to extend backdrops, but I can do so much in Lightroom. It's crazy, all the masking you can do, and it's awesome. And so my Lightroom, I've made all my presets, and all of mine are stackable.
Oh, right.
So it's like, they're not very creatively named. So it would be like AD tone curve 1, AD tone curve 2. So I have all my tone curves that I've created. There's like 13. And then I have like add warm highlights. And so because I don't believe in single clicks.
Sure.
I like to build, and if you start with your tone curve, I feel like that's the easiest way. So I usually go tone curve, calibration. So I go all the way to the bottom, because calibration's global, where like the HSL are more individual colors. And I feel like I get the best skin tones when I adjust calibration. But I do basically that. I use, the same like 13-ish tone curves. Some are for black and white, some are.
Right.
And then I add warm highlights a lot. I do have like on import, I can add like a preset of basic things. So I have a calibration setting that I like a lot, and that goes on almost every image. warm highlights a lot. I have a sharpening setting I like a lot. I always do -10 on texture. I do -7 on clarity. My contrast is always high. So I have like a few things where I can just go boom, 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 and just stack them. And so that's usually how I do it. And then, I sync and I go through and I edit everything in Lightroom, and then I go back, and if I need to do anything in Photoshop, I do it after that. And then I rename in Lightroom. I do everything in Lightroom.
Oh, okay.
I move my files to other folders. I move them on other hard drives. Like, you can move stuff really safely in Lightroom. And so I rename, organize everything. It's my place.
Well, and I feel like you're also not pulling your mind away from other things. If you're staying within the software, you're staying within the process. You're not getting distracted. You're not going, did I miss something?
Right. I tried Capture One. No. I mean, I get it. I'm too in bed. Like, I already have all my stuff created, like, for my shooting style. And so it would be silly. One thing that's helped me a lot, though, is AI editing a little bit.
Right.
So I use Imogen.
Okay.
And it's really cool. They do have a culling, like, beta right now. But you upload, or you add 3,000 photos to a collection in Lightroom. You export that collection. And the photos should all be either, like, color or black and white. You can't mix. And they should be edited similarly, but in all different things. Like, maybe one's a wedding, maybe one's a studio, maybe one's outside, maybe one's inside of your cat, whatever. 3,000 different photos edited similarly, and they create you your own profile from that. It takes them like 2 days to create. And then you can plug it in, and for 1 cent a photo, it applies it for you. And it does like custom white balance. So image to image, the white balance might not be the same numbers, but it looks like
it's the same feel.
They matched 3 different cameras for a wedding for me. So 2 different types of Canons, and then my Nikon. And after that, I was like, sold. Like, that just took so much work away from me. And it's 1 cent a photo. So that helps a lot. And I'm still checking. So usually after I run Imogen, I will decide, then I pop that tone curve on. Because Imogen gets me about 75% there.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty good. Like, it takes it about an hour to edit 800 photos.
Well, that's helpful.
It's awesome. And they have built-in profiles, too, if you don't want to create your own.
Oh, sure.
That are good. Like, Susan Stripling has one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's good ones. So, and then I use Narrative to help me cull. And it's really cool. So it has like a circle around each face. There'll be a circle, and then like a little smiley face thing like this. And the circle is going to be red, green, or yellow, and it tells you how good the expression is.
Okay.
And the line down here, red, green, yellow, tells you how sharp. So when you're doing like group portraits, I'm just looking for green, green, green. And then I go to the next section. And so you can just cull so much faster and then ship those straight to Lightroom.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, Narrative, and if you want it to, it will put it in an order, like a scene rank. So for each section of that shoot, it'll put it in what it thinks are the best photos. So like once you got it, like if you're doing big group formals, I don't need to look through every one of these. I just need to get the one, and then I can move on. And that's what it's really helpful for. It's faster than Lightroom to cull in. So that's those are some of my editing things. I can talk about editing a lot.
Well, I am a Capture One guy, so hopefully you won't cut this interview.
I'm sorry.
We're done. But there is a feature that came out, I don't know, probably 6 months ago, or I'm trying to remember. But it's not an AI feature, but it's a focus mask feature. And so it's kind of like focus peaking, like on these video cameras. But if you did a bunch of portraits, or maybe even like non-studio, you can set the color for whatever you want. I think it's by default set to green, and so you can double check and make sure that it was focusing on the eye and not the nose. And so if it shifted a little bit, or maybe you weren't on AFC or servo focus,
right?
I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I've even heard of, I think, what is it, Photo Mechanic? I might have some AI tools or something like that.
Yeah, I think Photo Mechanic does. I'm too cheap for Photo Mechanic, which is why I use Narrative.
I get it. No,
to be honest.
I totally get it.
And Lightroom has some of that, like where you can change the color of the mask, but theirs isn't that deep. Like if you go to the sharpening and you hit the mask in Lightroom and hold down Alt, it turns the image black and it outlines it in white where that mask is.
Oh, that's
But it's
good.
not as cool as like just being able to click it. Like you're still having to adjust that slider.
Oh, right.
C Capture One sounds more intuitive.
Well, I think that's what's cool about the software. I mean, we see this in the car industry. We see this in every industry. Is one will have one feature, and then one makes their own version of that feature, and it's just this constant. I'm trying to one up other.
Which kind of works out for us sometimes.
Absolutely.
I will take it. Keep competing, guys.
Exactly.
What else do you have?
Okay, this is my favorite question to ask. Keeping the innocent anonymous, if you need to. What is an embarrassing story you have, either involving something you did or something you experienced on a shoot? Or something just unusual.
I've ripped my pants at a wedding.
Oh.
Yeah. And that was before I brought backup clothes. And it was in the middle of nowhere. So I had to go in the bathroom and sit down, pull my pants down and sew it in the bathroom. And there was like wedding guests coming in and so that was pretty bad. That was bad.
But you had materials to sew, so there's at least that.
It took me a while. I had to tie my jacket around my waist.
Oh, yeah.
Until I could find a sewing kit. And I'm not a seamstress. So that was embarrassing. I had something else. What was the second part of the question? You said something embarrassing that witnessed on a shoot, or?
Yeah, is there something that happened to you or something you witnessed on a shoot that probably should not have happened?
So the other thing is, in college, when I was shooting large format, I shared a camera with my friend Howie. We're still really good friends, and after that we went on to shoot weddings together for years before he had moved to New York. But we had to share a camera. There wasn't enough cameras for each student to have their own. And it was a Cambo. It was a studio camera, so it had all the movements, big thing, right? So we drive out to the middle of nowhere to do our first assignment. We're so excited. We're like, we got this. We realized we didn't load the film, and it's sunny. And at the time, neither one of us had a dark bag. So Howie got in his trunk.
Oh, man.
And loaded the film, and he was sweating on the film. And when we developed it, there was streaks. And I called my professor I had a question about, because it was our first time just doing it solo. And Howie is, he's gay, but I was like, well, he's in the trunk loading it. We forgot to load it at the school, in the closet. And he goes, well, I know he came out of the closet, told me to get out of the trunk. And so it was funny. But sweating on film in the trunk is pretty bad.
I thought you were
and dedicated. He didn't make me do it. That was nice.
I was hoping the professor would have taken it the wrong way. You're like, hey, he's wanting to come out of the closet, and you just keep saying trunk. And he's just like, can you just tell me what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Why do you keep, no one says trunk?
Yeah. He's like, what are you trying to?
It's a closet.
You can just say it. It's 2020.
Sweating on the film.
Yeah, in the trunk. And it was like a car. So.
Like a Camry, like a small one.
You pulled the seat down and could crawl in there. And that's how I was talking to him, was through a small crack in the seat.
Oh, you didn't just hey.
Because he's like, wait, which side do the corners go? Do they
or so he's all going by
ridges?
Feel.
Yeah. He's like, wait, do the ridges go on the top, or do you? And I'm trying to talk to him through the cushion.
But also try not to put any light in to the trunk.
Yes, and also it's hot. I need my friend to get out of the trunk.
It's your safety I'm concerned about.
Yeah. At this point, let's just move on. But that was pretty
funny.
Good. I've seen a guy rip his pants on the dance floor at a wedding. I was the first person to see it. I saw it as it happened, and he turned around.
Photo?
Well, he turned, yes, and he turned around and saw that I saw it, which was I think was the funniest part for me. That was pretty good.
Did he playfully acknowledge? Okay.
Yeah, he thought it was funny. He thought it was super funny after that. Well, because then his friends saw, and then it was a groomsmen too. They were all just dancing in this big circle. It's just funny seeing something that no one else sees, and then when they realize that you saw it, that's the funniest part. But I guess ripping your pants while dancing is embarrassing.
It's those memories that
ripping your pants while you're loading something is embarrassing, and that's what happened to me.
Oh wait, that first one?
Yeah.
You were loading something.
I was loading stuff.
So it hadn't even day hadn't started yet.
No, I know it's even worse.
So it was the entire time you were shooting, you're dealing with this, yeah.
And when I say chaos, I do, but not like that. Not where I'm wondering the whole day if my pants are holding up.
So looking back on how you started, how where you've come now, what advice would you give to your younger self or someone starting out in photography that wants to do something, the similar type of photography you do?
Comparison is the thief of joy. Number one, and be nice to yourself. It's very competitive and it takes the fun out of it, I think. Buy more storage than you think you need. That's my thing. I still have a drawer of just hard drives. I mean, full of school assignments, and I'm still putting them on my server. Lots of storage. And the boring stuff is the stuff to learn first. I feel like there's some parts of photography that are just always fun, but the boring stuff, learning composition techniques and things like that, that's what's important. So I think that I would, for my younger self, I would maybe get a minor in something. No.
Right, yeah.
Maybe in business. If I could redo anything, maybe just get a minor in business would have been good. But
probably would have saved you a lot of hours of research on your own.
And don't give away stuff for free. When we first start, we think, oh, I just got this camera. I've only been doing this a few months. It's still your time. And anything that takes time away from your family, your friends, your loved ones, you should be compensated for. So you're, charge more than what you're probably charging.
Right.
Because if we all charge a good rate, people have to pay it. We can all make more money.
And it's an easier way to live.
It is.
Not saying you have to make, an exorbitant amount of money, but...
No. But why would you work more than you have to?
Exactly.
Why would you do 15 shoots in a week if you could only do 5?
Right.
Or that's just me.
No, I totally get it.
I mean, and I love shooting. That's my favorite part of the job is the actual shooting. I could just shoot and never see my photos. That's it. I could just literally throw it away and be fine. It's so weird. But I don't want to have more work. So, and I used to just take everything, which I think was good. It taught me a lot to say yes, to assist people. And so I'm glad I did stuff like that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you have to put in that work, well, when you're younger, you have to do the jobs that maybe you didn't want to do so that way you can learn from it and, do the things you want to do.
Yeah. Can't run before you can walk.
What is something physical? What is something tangible you always have on a shoot with you, not a camera or a lens? What is an accessory? What's an accessory that you always have in your bag on a shoot that must go with you?
Color correction gels. I love my gels. When you shoot for restaurants and stuff, there's a lot of mixed lighting. Weddings, mixed lighting. So much. You've got daylight, you've got tungsten. Gels are something I always have. I love them. See, but that's something I would spend time doing versus doing in post.
Right.
I would rather fix that than spend hours split toning to make the exposure look, or to make the photo look normal.
Well, and sometimes it won't look exactly the way you want.
Yeah. I would like to get some of those gels for windows. The big ones.
Oh, yeah. The film?
Yeah.
The one you put, yeah.
I would love to get some of that.
No, that's a great answer. Yeah.
Yeah, so gels is probably it. I have sticky ones. I've got Magmod ones. Of course, I've when I take my FJ400s, I've got, the crushed.
Oh, the magnetic ones? Yeah.
But I don't do a lot of creative gel stuff. So that's on my list this year.
Oh, yeah,
to
play
try
with that.
some creative gel stuff. I'm excited, though. That's the fun thing about photography. You don't know everything, and you never will.
Right. Okay, so that was tangible. What is an intangible? What is something that is always on your mind on a shoot?
I am just curious about people. And it makes me want to talk to them. It makes me want to learn more. And whenever you talk to people, like you actually engage with them and you're sincere, it makes them feel special. And your photos are better because they, you know. So my thing, I guess, would be curiosity and a little humor.
Yes. Well, that's a big icebreaker. Yes, I mean, because most of the times they're strangers.
Yes.
And they're nervous.
So nervous.
Probably just as much as you are, you know, because you're kind of being forced to be in this place, be at this.
Spend this amount of time with someone you just met, and I can get people camera comfy in about 6 minutes.
Okay.
I have tracked it just because I'm curious, so I know how long to make sessions. When is that comfort point hit where it actually starts, I guess. And it takes me about 6 minutes.
Do you do it with humor usually?
A little bit,
yeah.
I just start asking questions, and the other cool thing is when you ask people questions, it leads them to tell you stuff that will lead to more meaningful conversations. You know, so you start basic or simple, and then as you keep going, you never know. And you never know who you're going to meet.
Exactly.
People have really cool stories, and they're interesting, and you just never know. And so I guess, that would be my intangible, would be curiosity and humor.
Well, I'm sure that's maybe even turned into some actual friendships, people you speak to even now, not just people in a class that, okay, we were going to school at the same time, you know.
Oh, yeah. I have a habit of friending clients.
That's cool.
It's okay. I mean, it's great. It's just then sometimes things get weird, but all my people are great. That's the other thing, though. I get really good people. And I'm not even just saying that. I don't know if it's what I post that attracts a certain type of people, but I don't really have horror stories.
That's good.
I have a few weddings, but that's how it is when you shoot hundreds of them. There's bound to be something, you know?
Right.
But generally, people are so nice. I don't know. So I get
that's
lucky.
good.
I get super lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll report back if something changes. It'll be because of this.
Yeah.
My next person's just going to be terrible.
It's just going to be a clip. We're just going to add this as a clip. Hey, if you haven't seen, go back and watch. This is part 2.
Cuts to me crying.
It's 3 minutes of you just going, and then they did this. Yeah.
I've had a client make me cry once, but it's been probably 7 years.
No.
Yeah. It was a wedding. It was bad.
Was it critiquing your abilities or?
Just not listening in the beginning. You know, I had told them, hey, for this group portrait of 84 people, it's going to take me about
4 people.
Yeah, take me about 12 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's even that long. And they're like, oh, we're fast, don't worry about it. I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Was this because of seating people or posing?
They were mad that it took too long. Well, I got them up there, and then, you still have to be get in the V, move over, and they're all talking, so you can't really see where their head is if they look at you. There was that. It was really hot. They were running. It was a lot, and I feel like everything that went wrong was their fault, but they put it on me.
Yeah.
And I had worked really hard that day, and I was exhausted, and I gave it all I had, and I just felt like they didn't appreciate it, and I don't think I could have done anything to make. I think I did everything I could,
Right.
And so it's just frustrating.
That's also a tall order.
Yeah, I mean, I had an assistant and a second shooter. It should have been fine. I did really good planning because there was multiple locations. All of that stuff went off without a hitch. It was their stuff that didn't, and then it was they were kind of passive aggressive, it's my fault. You know how people do that, and it just makes you feel bad. And when it's over 100 degrees, I'm also not in a great mood.
Right.
To be outside.
We're all sweating.
Yeah. While y'all are in the shade, I'm in the sun. But it was okay. It's all good.
It's in the past.
It's in the past. So I did get those photos edited very quickly.
Good. Yeah, let's be done with it.
Yeah, I'm this has got to get out of here. I am done. But,
that's awesome.
So
Well, you saved it. That's good.
Did. And they got beautiful photos. they turned out really good.
Well, Alex, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us. This was a lot of fun, and I'm glad you were able to be part of the Bedford Talks episode, Bedford Talks crew. Yeah. So,
thank you.
And if you want to see Alex or hear more of what she does, I'm sure we'll see you on some other events like PhotoCon and Photo Expo.
Yeah, I'll be at Photo Expo. I'll be at PhotoCon, and then the Sony event.
Yes.
In March.
Mm-hmm. That's right, March 1st and 2nd. I forgot what it's called. It's the Leap into Sony because it's a leap year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Although I don't shoot Sony, I will be there just doing stuff with Westcott, so that's cool.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll leave with Sony. Who knows?
Who knows?
I'm just kidding.
You're just going to stick with what you know.
Yeah, I'm just doing that.
Well, very cool. Also, how can people follow your work?
So I'm on Instagram, Alex Dugan Photo, and I'm on Facebook, but I don't post to Facebook, so Instagram is the best way.
Very cool.
And
you have a studio space?
Yeah, I have a studio space. And so it's different. Yeah.
But it's very colorful.
It's very colorful. It's in the Paseo, which is Oklahoma City's arts district. It's awesome. I'm in a building with one of my best friends. So
that's great.
It's super cool. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode of Bedford Talks.